नमः ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांता स्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। वागीशा यस्य वदने लक्ष्मीर्यस्य च वक्षसि यस्याते हृदये संवित् त्वं नृसिंहमहं भजे। एकेन चक्रमपरेण करेण शङ्खम् अन्येन सिन्धुतनयम् अवलम्ब्य तिष्ठन् वामेतरेण वरदाभयपद्मचिह्नम् लक्ष्मी नृसिंह मम देहि करावलम्बम्। उग्रं वीर्यं महाविष्णुं ज्वलन्तं सर्वतोमुखं नृसिंहं भीषणं भद्रं मृत्योर्मृत्युं नमाम्यहम्। प्रह्लाद नारद पराशर पुण्डरीका व्यासादि भागवत पुंगव ह्रीन्निवासा भक्तानुरुक्त परिपालन पारिजाता लक्ष्मी नृसिंह मम देहि करावलम्बम्। पादौ यदीयौ प्रथमा द्वितीयौ तृतीयतुर्यौ कथितौ यदूरु नाभिस्तथा पञ्चम एव षष्ठो भुजान्तरं दोर्युगलं तथन्यौ कण्ठस्तु राजन्नवमो यदीयो मुखारविन्दं दशमं प्रफुल्लम् एकादशो यस्य ललाटपत्तं शिरोऽपि तु द्वादश एव बाटी तमादिदेवं करुणानिधानं तमालवर्णं सुहितावतारम् अपार संसार समुद्रसेतुं भजामहे भागवत स्वरूपम् भजामहे भागवत स्वरूपम्। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। मूकं करोति वाचालं पंकुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरु दीनतारिणा। Hare Krishna. So I welcome all of you to the study of 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Let us begin chapter 13 today. Chapter 13 entitled The Behavior of a Perfect Person. Now, what is the context? Narada Muni is now explaining the following to Yudhishthir Maharaj. We have already seen Yudhishthir Maharaj asks two questions in the 11th chapter. One is about Sanatana Dharma and the other is about Varnashrama Dharma. And Narada Muni starts speaking. He speaks about Sanatana Dharma, but he explains in detail about the four Varnas. And yesterday we had seen, he also explains the Sri Dharma. Then yesterday we had seen the Brahmachari and the Vanaprastha Ashram. We had been seeing for the past 2 days, the Brahmachari Ashram and the Vanaprastha Ashram. So today, in these verses, Narada Muni will be explaining about what is Sannyas Ashram and the qualities of a sannyasi, followed by conduct of a sannyasi, consciousness of a sannyasi, and then he also narrates to Yudhishthir Maharaj the conversation between Prahlad and an Avaduta Brahmana. How Prahlad meets an Avaduta Brahmana and how Prahlad inquires from him. He sees that the Avaduta Brahmana, he sees him in a little unorthodox way, but still he understands that this person is a very advanced personality, and how he inquires from him, and how the Brahmana glorifies Prahlad Maharaj, and how the Brahmana describes the futility of material happiness, the two gurus of the Brahmana, and lifestyle of the Avaduta Brahmana, and giving up material body and self-realization. Probably we will see these topics tomorrow. Maybe one or two we can cover today in the second part. So let us begin. Shri Narada Uvacha Kalpastvevam Parivrajya Deha Matra Vasheshitaha Gramaikarattra Vidhina Nirapekshacharen Mahim. So Narada Muni says, a person able to cultivate spiritual knowledge should renounce all material conditions, and merely keeping the body inhabitable, he should travel from one place to another, passing only one night in each village. In this way, without dependence in regard to the needs of the body, the sannyasi should travel all over the world. So, Nirapeksha. Nirapeksha means he is completely dependent. He doesn't expect anything. He is completely renounced. And he just keeps this body inhabitable. And in this way, without dependence in regard to the needs of the body, the sannyasi should travel all over the world. This is the last stage of the ashrama. Brahmachari ashrama, grahastha, and after vanaprastha, this stage has to be taken as per the Vedic system, especially by the higher varnas. At least the brahmanas should take this. Vibriyad yadya sauvasaha kaupinachadanam param tyaktam nalingat dandader anyat kinchit anapadi. A person in the renounced order of life may try to avoid even a dress to cover himself. If he wears anything at all, it should only be a loin cloth, and when there is no necessity, a sannyasi should not accept even a danda. A sannyasi should avoid carrying anything but a danda and a kamandalu. Now, why this is said? Because one should completely become detached. There may be a situation when one may even develop some kind of attachment to the danda also, or to the stick which a sannyasi has. One may become attached to that also, because one is prone to get attached in this material world. Despite so much of training, despite many austerities, despite cultivating knowledge, if one has not reached the highest level of bhakti, then there is every possibility that one becomes entangled in this material existence. One may become attached to anything. One may become attached to a particular dress. One may become attached even to a danda. So a sannyasi should avoid carrying anything but a danda and kamandalu. There is an example in the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, how Bharat Maharaj, he had actually attained the highest stage of, almost the highest stage of bhakti he had attained. Even the bhava stage of bhakti he had attained. But still, even in that stage, he became susceptible to attachment. He became unreasonably attached to a baby deer. And that whole, in the whole episode, it is mentioned how Bharat Maharaj had to take a birth again. So if one becomes attached to anything else other than Supreme Lord and the Supreme Lord's service, then one has to take birth again in this material world. Because one incurs karma. One incurs either good reactions or bad reactions. So one has to inevitably take birth in this material world if he becomes attached to anything other than the Supreme Lord and service to the Supreme Lord. Ekeva charet bhikshur atma ramo napashrayah sarvabhuta suhichanto narayana parayana. So he is a Narayana parayana. That means he is unalloyed devotee of the Supreme Lord Narayana. So he is completely satisfied in the self. He should live on alms begged from door to door. Eka eve charat bhikshur. He has to take bhiksha. He has to be satisfied in himself, and his subsistence should only be on the alms which he begs from door to door. Atma Ramo Napashrayaha. He is not dependent on any place. Atma Ramo Napashraya. He is not dependent on any person or place. Why? He is completely dependent only on the Supreme Lord. And if the Supreme Lord's protection comes through any person, or if Supreme Lord gives him whatever is his necessity to sustain through any person, he is very happy. And he is always a friendly well-wisher to all living beings. Sarva Bhuta Suhichanto. He is completely friendly. He is not inimical. He doesn't have any enemy. He doesn't have any enemy, because when does enmity come? Enmity comes when one is more and more influenced by Icha and Dvesha, the Dvandva, the dualities. But he is not influenced by dualities due to his cultivation of devotional service. Due to his intense devotional service, by the Lord's mercy, he is actually able to transcend the dualities. So he is able to see the super soul in every living entity. Pandita Samadarshinaha Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini Sunichaiva Swapakecha Pandita Samadarshinaha. So he is able to see the super soul in every living entity. So therefore he is not inimical. Unless one attains the stage, there is a possibility that everyone considers one as his friend and one as his enemy. So unless one attains the highest stage of devotional service through performance of intense sadhana, one cannot actually be a friendly well-wisher to all living beings. Sarva Bhuta Suhrichanto Narayana Parayana. So he is a peaceful and unalloyed devotee of Narayana. So in this way, he should move from one place to another. So let us review again what is the conduct of a sannyasi. He is detached, merely keeping the body inhabitable. He is not dependent on anything material, nirapeksha. He travels only by passing one night in every village, because the lesser amount of time he actually stays, the lesser he is susceptible to becoming attached. Even Shukadeva Goswami used to do the same thing. How long did he used to stay in a householder's house? It is mentioned in first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Only the time which is taken to milk a cow, only that much time he used to stay. That's all. Then he used to immediately leave. So he travels on the earth, passing only one night in every village. If he stays continuously for more time, there is a possibility of his becoming attached and entangled again. Because the whole purpose of human form of life is to become detached from material existence, and that can happen only by cultivating devotional service to the Supreme Lord. Understanding who is the Supreme Lord, understanding one's position as an eternal servant of the Supreme Lord, and acting in that position to know who we are and to be who we are. So if one becomes attached, the whole purpose is lost. So therefore he is very, very careful not to become attached. See, ideally one must do two things. It is not that simply one has to avoid material attachment. One has to cultivate positive attachment. One has to cultivate devotional service to the Supreme Lord. Only then his renunciation is complete. Otherwise, it is not complete. Not only avoiding or not only being careful not to become entangled, one should be even more careful that one is constantly engaged in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord. In fact, this is more important. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janeti Ashu Vairagyam Yanam Chatad Ahetukam. So it is said in Srimad Bhagavatam, when one renders devotional service, when one performs Bhakti Yoga, then Vasudeve Bhagavate Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janeti Ashu Vairagyam Yanam Chatad Ahetukam. So automatically knowledge and detachment comes. So this most important component is one must perform these austerities. One must take all the steps not to become attached, but most importantly, one must engage himself in unalloyed devotional service through the performance of intense sadhana. He wears only a loincloth and an outer covering. He wanders alone. He lives on alms begged. He is completely satisfied in the self. He is not dependent on any person or place. And he is a well-wisher to all living beings. He is very peaceful and he is completely surrendered to Lord Narayana. He is peaceful because he is completely dependent on the Supreme Lord. Pashyedatmanyado vishvam paresat asato vyaye atmanam cha param brahma sarvatra sat asanmaye. So the sannyasi should always try to see the Supreme pervading everywhere and see everything including this universe resting on the Supreme. Yomam pashyati sarvatra sarvam cha mai pashyati tasyaham na pranashyami suchamena pranashyati. Krishna says in 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. That person who sees everything in me and he who sees me in everything. So this is the quality which actually a sannyasi should cultivate. He should try to see the Supreme Lord everywhere and he should see everything in the Supreme Lord. Pashyedatmat ado vishwam. He should see that the Supreme Lord is pervading everywhere. Sukti prabodhayo sandha atmano gatimatmadrit pashyan bandham cha moksham cha maya matram navastutaha. So he says, during unconsciousness and consciousness, and between the two, he should try to understand the self and be fully satisfied in the self. In this way, he should realize that the conditional and liberated stages of life are only illusory and not actually factual. With such a higher understanding, he should only see the absolute truth pervading everywhere. So irrespective of any situation, whether he is conscious or whether he is not conscious, whether he is awake or whether he is in sleep or if he is in the intermittent stage, always one must be conscious of the Supreme Lord. This is what is the meaning of this. And he should realize that the conditional and liberated stages are actually illusory. The liberated stages means the lower stages of liberation, not the highest liberated stage. And with such a higher understanding, he should only see the absolute truth pervading everything. Nabhinande dhruvam mrityam adhruvam vasya jivitam kalam param pratiksheta bhutanam prabhavapyayam. So it is said here, Narada Muni says, since the material body is sure to be vanquished and the duration of one's life is not fixed, neither death nor life is to be praised. Rather, kalam param pratiksheta, rather one should observe the eternal time factor in which the living entity manifests himself and disappears. This is a very, very important understanding. Since he knows that this body is sooner or later going to die, it is not going to be like this. Dehinosmin yata dehe kaumaram yauvanam chara tata dehantara praptir dhiras tatra na muhyati. Krishna says, Dehinosmin yata dehe, because this birth and death, after one deha, we get another deha. Kaumaram yauvanam chara tata dehantaram praptir. So he is not bewildered. Adhira is not bewildered by the birth and death. So similarly, he is not bewildered because he knows that definitely this body is going to be vanquished after a certain period of time. He doesn't praise death. He doesn't think, okay, this person is dead, so he is peaceful now. He doesn't need to suffer. And he also doesn't praise life. He doesn't become, very excited seeing somebody enjoy this material world. Oh, how nicely this person is enjoying. This is life. Yeh hai life. He is not like that because he knows if this person is enjoying like that, ultimately it is only a matter of time. That's all. The reality, this death is inevitable for everyone. And he is not bewildered by death also. Because why he is not bewildered? He observes the eternal time factor in which the living entity manifests himself and disappears. He is always observing the time factor. And what is the time factor? Time factor is the representation of the Supreme Lord. So he sees how by passage of time everything is changing, and he is not Dhiras tatrana muhyati. He is not bewildered. Kalam param pratiksheta bhutanam prabhavapyayam. He is not actually bewildered because he is always observing how this material transformations are happening, how these transformations of body, different bodies, how they are getting transformed, how a small child is becoming a toddler, an infant is becoming a toddler, how he is becoming a young man. He knows this is all happening by the force of time. In fact, the whole material transformation is happening only by the force of time. And we are all just victims of that passage of time. That's all. For example, in a river, two plants may come together, or some in a sea, some two waves may come together, or some sand particles appear that they are together here today. And after some time, when a big wave comes, it is all disturbed again. An intelligent person, will he be giving importance to how nicely two particles of sand are present together? No, he will not be giving any importance to this temporary situation, because an intelligent person will be able to see, an intelligent observer will be able to see that when you see, for example, if say somebody has built some nice sand, what children build that, right? That sand castle or something when they are playing on the seashore. How long it is going to last? If a big wave comes, it is just going to go away. That's all. So similarly, we may all be together today and we may all be enjoying. We are one family. I have my mother, father, my siblings, my sister, my brother, and things look very nice. Somehow life is going on very nicely. I am able to earn a lot of money. I am able to get a very good career. I am able to get many facilities. My child is growing up very nicely. He's speaking very nicely. So all these things actually infatuate a person who is not in proper spiritual understanding. They infatuate. He says, he's bewildered seeing this. And similarly, when death comes, what happens if he is not in knowledge? He laments. Arey, he has gone, he has gone. He's completely taken over if sudden death comes. So, an intelligent person, or a person who has trained himself, who has been trained in spiritual understanding, in spiritual knowledge, he is not bewildered. He is not bewildered by this happiness which is existing. He is not bewildered when death comes, because he knows all this happens under the eternal time factor. With the passage of time, whatever happiness somebody is experiencing, that is not going to last for long. And similarly, this death is inevitable. This is all happening under the influence of Kala or time. So he is not bewildered because he is able to see properly. He is able to see the things properly in the proper perspective. That is why he is not bewildered. He is not overly agitated when some material happiness is there. Neither he is overly disturbed when a tight slap is given by material nature. He is equipoised. He is composed because he is completely absorbed in understanding the Supreme Lord, and he is completely absorbed in his eternal constitutional position of rendering devotional service to the Supreme Lord. Now, what is the consciousness of a sannyasi? He sees the Supreme Lord pervading everywhere, and he sees everything resting on the Lord. Yomam pashyati sarvatra sarvam cha mai pashyati. He understands the self during sleep, dreaming, and waking state. That means he is always conscious of the Supreme Lord, completely Krishna conscious. He realizes that bondage and liberation are actually illusory. This liberation does not refer to the highest liberation of becoming a pure devotee of the Lord. This means any lower liberation than becoming a pure devotee of the Supreme Lord. He knows that bondage and liberation are actually illusory. He is neither frustrated with the temporary nature of material world, nor is in a mood to enjoy material happiness. Padma Patram Ivam Bashaha. It is described in Bhagavad Gita. He is like, Padma Patram. What is Padma Patram? How does water stay on a Padma Patram, on a lotus leaf? The leaf is not affected by the water, right? So that is the behavior of a Krishna conscious person described in Bhagavad Gita. So he is like that. He observes the influence of the time factor under which the living entities are perpetually caught up, under whose influence this material world comes into existence and is again annihilated. Bhutva bhutva praliyate. He always observes. He doesn't become absorbed. He observes, that's all. What is the situation of a conditioned soul? Like us, we become absorbed in these things. We become absorbed because we think that we are the doer. If by some chance some material achievement comes or some kind of happiness comes, we are very we are completely absorbed in that. Yes, I have achieved this. Yes, I have achieved this. Because we think that we are the doer. We do not know that this is all being done by the material nature under the influence of time. Prakrite kriyamanani gune karmani sarvashaha. Ahankara vimudhatma. A conditioned soul, he has this ahankara, vimudhatma, this conditioned soul, he has ahankara. Kartaham iti manyate. He becomes absorbed because he thinks he is the doer. But he is not the doer actually. The doer is the material nature. As per one's karma, one gets happiness and distress. The doer is, the giver of that karma is the material nature under the supervision of the super soul. So, this is what he is actually observing. This sannyasi is observing that whatever is actually happening under the time factor. He observes the power of time that causes appearance and disappearance of all beings instead of praising the uncertain life or death. He observes the power of time. He doesn't become absorbed. So therefore, we should remember this easily. Observe, but do not absorb. You have to observe. One has to absorb himself in Krishna consciousness, not in material happiness and distress. Of course, they come, we cannot avoid, but still one must know how not to become absorbed. If we become, the more we become absorbed, the more we become entangled. Nasachastreshu sajjeta nopajiveta jivikam vadavadam styajet tarkan paksham kamcha na samshrayet. Literature that is a useless waste of time. In other words, literature without spiritual benefit should be rejected. One should not become a professional teacher as a means of earning one's livelihood, nor one should indulge in arguments and counter-arguments, nor should one take shelter of any cause or faction. See, nowadays we see the sannyasis are totally opposite. I am not speaking about the Vaishnava sannyasis here. I am speaking about any other sannyasis who are not properly trained and claim themselves to be sannyasis. Literature that is a useless waste of time, that is, literature without spiritual benefit should be rejected. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Narada Muni says same thing when Narada Muni and Vyasadeva discuss. Tadvag visargo janataga viplavo yasmin pratishloka mapatya vapyati. Naman yanantascha yashonkitani yat shunvanti gayanti grinanti sadavaha. Tadvag visargo janataga viplavo. So, shunvanti gayanti grinanti sadavaha. So that means that literature which actually describes the pastimes of the Supreme Lord, such literature is actually sought. Such literature is actually sought by those persons who are sadhava. So a sadhu should never spend time. He should never spend time reading newspapers or literature that doesn't have any spiritual benefit. For the sake of information, one may just see and understand it. That's all. If one is in a society, probably one, but that is not a duty of a sannyasi whatsoever. So therefore, literature without spiritual benefit should be rejected. One should not become a professional teacher as a means of earning one's livelihood. Because sannyasi should not become a professional teacher. A grihastha can become a professional teacher. But a sannyasi should not become a professional teacher. In fact, because he should always depend on the Supreme Lord for his subsistence. And nor should one indulge in arguments and counter-arguments. One should not, this vadavadams, yeah. One should not involve himself in this argument, unnecessary debate. And one should actually, there is a famous verse, I'm not able to recollect it. What is that? Mahajanoyena gatasya panta. One has to follow the tarka. Tarka should not be done, but one should follow in the footsteps of Mahajanas. Na shishyan anubadnita granthan naivabhyased bahun navyakyam upayunjita narambhan arabhet kvachit. A sannyasi must not present allurements of material benefits to gather many disciples, nor should he unnecessarily read many books or give discourses as a means of livelihood. He can give discourses, but he should not give discourses as a means of livelihood. He must never attempt to increase material opulences unnecessarily. Nayater ashrama prayo dharma hetur mahatmanaha shantasya samachittasya bibrayat utavatyajet. A peaceful, equipoised person who is factually advanced in spiritual consciousness does not need to accept the symbols of a sannyasi, such as the Tridanda and Kamandalu. According to the necessity, he may sometimes accept and sometimes reject them. Avyaktalingo vyaktartho manishyunmatta balavat kavir mukavat atmanam sadrishtya darshayendranam. Although a saintly person may not expose himself to the vision of the human society by his behavior, his purpose is disclosed. To human society, he should present himself like a restless child, and although he is the greatest thoughtful orator, he should present himself like a dumb man. Because he should not get entangled by this labha, pratishtha, puja, and all. So what are the other qualities of a sannyasi? Basically, there are 4 stages of renounced order of life: Kutichaka, Bahudaka, Parivrajakacharya, and Paramahamsa. So Srimad Bhagavatam considers the Paramahamsas among the sannyasis. So when we are discussing about the Vaishnava sannyasis. He rejects literature without any spiritual benefit. He does not become a professional teacher, nor does he indulge in argument. He does not present material allurement to gather many disciples, nor does he read many books or give discourses as a means of livelihood. And he does not attempt to build many temples or increase material opulence. And the most important duty of a sannyasi. Now we have seen what he should not do so far and how he should conduct. Now what is the most important duty? The most important duty is that he should preach Krishna consciousness. If by grace of Krishna some facilities are available, then he may construct temples to give shelter to serious students of bhakti, not to make a business out of the temples. And preaching is the first duty for Paramahamsas or sannyasis in the Vaishnava order. Most important thing is they should always give Krishna consciousness to others. Now, we come to this second section, conversation between Prahlad Maharaj and the Avaduta Brahmana. Now, Narada Muni continues. Atrapyudaharantimam itihasam puratanam prahradasya cha samvadam muner ajagrarasya cha muner ajagarasya cha. So, As a historical example of this, learned sages recite the story of a discussion, of an ancient discussion between Prahlad Maharaj and a great saintly person who was feeding himself like a python. Now we are coming to a story here. It is the story which tells us the discussion between Prahlad Maharaj and one Avaduta Brahmana whom Prahlad Maharaj meets. Tamshayanam daropaste Kaveryam Sahyasanuni Rajasvalaisthanudeshair Nigudamalatejasam Dadarshalokan Vicharan Lokatattva Vivitsaya Vrito Matye Katipayai Prahrado Bhagavat Priya. Prahlad Maharaj, the most dear servitor of the Supreme Lord, once went out touring the universe with some of his confidential associates just to study the nature of saintly persons. So Prahlad Maharaj, he, after being crowned as the emperor, he actually went out touring the whole universe with some of his confidential associates. He wanted to study the nature of saintly persons. Many kings used to do that. Then he arrived at the bank of Kaveri, where there was a mountain known as Sahya. There he found a great saintly person who was lying on the ground. And how was that person? He was lying on the ground covered with dirt and dust, but he was deeply spiritually advanced person. Although he was looking in a very unorthodox way, not in the conventional way, but he was actually a very advanced soul spiritually. Karmana kriti birvacha lingair varnashramadibhi navidanti janayam vai sosaviti naveticha. Neither by that saintly person's activities, by his bodily features, by his words, nor by the symptoms of his varnashrama status could people understand whether he was the same person they had known. So therefore, one's bodily features, one's words, and one's status, a social status, that is the status in one's varna and ashrama, one's status as per one's varna and ashrama. Only by this actually one is actually recognized. But this person, this Brahmana, how was he? By his words, or by his symptoms, or by his varnashrama status, nobody could understand whether they actually previously knew him or not. In fact, he was appearing in such a way that they just could not recognize who he is. Tam natvabhyachrayat vidvat padayo sirshasprashan vivitsuridam aprakshin mahabhagavato suraha. The advanced devotee Prahlad Maharaj duly worshipped and offered obeisances to the saintly person. So Prahlad Maharaj understood that this person is saintly. Only one saintly person can understand another saintly person. So he understood that this person, although he is not looking in a very conventional way, but still he is a very saintly person. He is a very advanced soul. So therefore he offered obeisances to the saintly person who had adopted a python's means of livelihood. Thus, after worshipping the saintly person and touching his own head to the saint's lotus feet, Prahlad Maharaj, in order to understand him, inquired very submissively as follows. Now, we should understand that, so that the inhabitants in that particular place, we have seen they were not able to understand whether that saint was the same man they had known. So therefore, it is said we should be very careful. Vaishnavera kriya mudra vignena buchhaya. One must not judge a Vaishnava by his external appearance. So few days back, Kranti Prabhu had shared one picture. One of the very saintly, one of the most prominent leaders and the spiritual masters in our movement. He had actually, during his very early days, he had actually rendered many services to the movement. One of the service was to paint also. So just by seeing that person or by seeing the service which that person is performing, one should not judge a person because nobody knows who is who. Then how should we understand a person? Not simply by seeing the person. In order to understand the person, one must hear from the person. Only when we hear, we will know who is who. So one must actually submissively hear. That is the way to understand the saintly quality of a person, not just the outward appearance. So that is being stated here. Vaishnavera Kriya Mudra Vignena Bujjaya. Highly advanced Vaishnava, he lives in such a way that no one can actually understand what he is or what he was. So, Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's spiritual master, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, he was a very, very advanced soul. But he always kept himself away from public. He did not want to be disturbed. He wanted to perform his devotion in seclusion. So therefore, he was living in such a way that no one could understand what he is or what he was. Nor should attempts be made to understand the past of a Vaishnava. This is very important to understand. If we see that some person is very sincerely cultivating Vaishnava qualities, despite many weaknesses which he may have. Like for all of us, we have all been doing this devotional service for the past few days or probably few years, some of us. So when we see a person who has begun chanting Hare Krishna or who has begun to inculcate Shraddha in this process of bhakti, who has started his journey, although he may have many weaknesses otherwise, he may have shortcomings or weaknesses, one must not simply judge that person, or one must not unnecessarily dig into the past of that person, saying that this person is always like this. Especially when one has been taking sincerely to devotional service, one must not consider particularly the sinful activities which that person would have even committed in the past. One should not make, because now he is on the path. Now he is on the correct path. So why should one take about his path? In fact, that is an offense if you do that. He might have committed some sinful activity. All of us have committed many sinful activities in the past. So if someone were to judge us with those activities, particularly when we are taking to the process of Krishna consciousness now, we are trying to take to this process sincerely, and when some person comes and judges us, then is it correct? It's not correct. So similarly, we should not make any attempt to understand the past of a Vaishnava. Without asking the saintly person about his previous life, Prahalad Maharaj immediately offered him respectful obeisances. Bibharshikayam pivanam sodyamo bhogavan yatha. 16 and 17, they have the same translation. They are together actually. Vittam chaivotya matvatam bhogo vittavatamiha bhoginam khalu dehoyam piva bhavati nan yatha. So seeing the saintly person to be quite fat, this person was fat, but Prahlad Maharaj did not judge him. Generally, when we see someone fat, we think this guy is nice, this person is nicely eating. That is why he has become fat. We immediately come to a judgmental platform. But Prahlad Maharaj did not do that. Prahlad Maharaj was an advanced soul. So we have to follow in the footsteps of Prahlad Maharaj. Simply by one's external appearance, one should not judge a person's nature or quality. It is very, very offensive. Seeing the saintly person to be quite fat, Prahlad Maharaj said, "My dear sir, you undergo no endeavor to earn your livelihood, but you have a stout body exactly like that of a materialistic enjoyer." Very relevant question. Prahlad Maharaj is able to see that this person has a stout body, but he is also seeing that this person is not working very hard like others. I know that if one is very rich and has nothing to do, he becomes extremely fat by eating and sleeping and performing no work. Nate sayanasya nirudyamasya brahman nuharto yata eva bhoga abhignoyam tava abhoginoyam tapa vipradeha piva yatastad vadanakshamam chet. So he says, "O Brahmana, fully in knowledge of transcendence, you have nothing to do and therefore you are lying down." That means Prahlad Maharaj means that it is not that he is telling sarcastically, you have nothing to do, means he has actually transcended this Varnashrama Dharma. he has reached a very advanced stage in devotional life. Nothing to do means it is not a sarcastic remark here. Prahlad Maharaj is saying, oh Brahmana, fully in knowledge of transcendence, you have nothing to do. When one has actually perfected himself, and how can one transcend this? How can one transcend the syllabus? How can one transcend the Varnashrama? One can transcend the Varnashrama only if one follows the Varnashrama. So he says, fully, O Brahmana, fully in knowledge of transcendence, you have nothing to do. That means you are above Varnashrama and therefore you are lying down. It is also understood that you have no money for sense enjoyment. On one side, I see you very fat, but on one side, I see that you don't have any money for sense enjoyment. How then has your body become so fat? Under the circumstances, if you do not consider my question impudent, kindly explain how this has happened. Now, Prahlad Maharaj, he is actually, through his example, he is teaching how what should be the consciousness of a spiritual inquirer. What should be the consciousness of a seeker? Kavikalpo nipunadre chitra priyakata sama lokasya kurvata karma sheshe tat vikshita piva. Your honor appears learned, expert and intelligent in every way. You can speak very well, saying things that are pleasing to the heart. You see that people in general are engaged in fruitive activities and yet you are lying here inactive. So one must understand these things. Prahlad Maharaj was surprised to see this saintly person. He was adopting Ajagra Vritti and becoming very, very fat. Prahlad Maharaj could understand that this Brahmana, he was a very intelligent and expert person. Although he was lying down and not doing anything, he could recognize the souls, because Prahlad Maharaj himself is an advanced soul, he could easily identify another advanced soul. So therefore, generally by enjoying the senses, one becomes fat. Therefore, in spiritual advancement, overeating, the result of which is gaining weight or becoming fat, is not at all advisable. So Prahlad was naturally inquisitive about why this person is lying there inactive. Shri Narada Uvacha Saitam Daitya Patina Pariprishto Mahamuni Smayamanastam Abhyaha Tatvagamrita Yantritaha. So Narada Muni continues. He says, when the saintly person was thus questioned by Prahlad Maharaj, the king of the Daityas, he was captivated by the shower of nectarian words and he replied to the inquisitiveness of Prahlad Maharaj with a smiling face. See now, this should be the attitude of a spiritual seeker and spiritual speaker. The same thing if we see everywhere. Parikshit Maharaj, Shukadev Goswami became very pleased with Parikshit Maharaj. And then he started speaking Srimad Bhagavatam. Similarly, the sages of Naimisharanya, when seeing their inquiries, seeing their enthusiasm, Suta Goswami, the speaker, became very pleased. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnanina sattvadarshinaha. In order to understand spiritual knowledge, who can give you this tatvadarshanaha? Who only a Tattvadarshi can give you. When that person becomes pleased with you, when he becomes pleased with your submission, when he becomes pleased with your service attitude, when he becomes pleased with your humble inquiry, and then Krishna as the Paramatma in the heart of the speaker, he actually inspires the speaker to speak something which is very relevant for that person and also for all time to come. So this attitude of seeker and speaker is very, very important. And how was Prahlad Maharaj? How humbly he was inquiring. Prahlad Maharaj wanted to very genuinely understand why this person is like this. What is see Prahlad Maharaj's question. How then has your body become so fat? That means who is actually maintaining you? Prahlad Maharaj wanted to understand about the Supreme Lord. and he wanted to understand the realization of this saintly person. So he replies with a smiling face. Shri Brahmana Uvacha Vededam Asurasreshta Bhavan Nan Varya Sanmataha Iho Paramayor Nrinam Padan Yadhyatma Chakshusa. So the saintly Brahmana said, O best of the Asuras, Prahlad Maharaj, who are recognized by advanced and civilized men, he glorified the saintly person, and the saintly person is also glorifying him. Who are advanced, who are recognized by advanced and civilized men. You are aware of the different stages of life because of your inherent transcendental eyes, with which you see a man's character and thus know clearly the results of acceptance and rejection of things as they are. What is Prahlad Maharaj transcendental eyes? Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santas Sadaiva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti Yam Shyama Sundaram Achintya Gunaswarupam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So this is the transcendental eyes which actually this man is speaking about. Only with transcendental eyes, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena, one is able to see the Supreme Lord. One is able to understand the nature of the Supreme Lord. One is able to understand the nature of another person who is the devotee of the Supreme Lord because of this inherent transcendental eyes which are anointed with prema. Yasya Narayano Devo Bhagavan Hridgatas Sada Bhaktya Kevala Yajnanam Dhunoti Dvantamarkavat. Narayana, Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is full of all opulences, is predominant within the core of your heart because of your being a pure devotee. He always drives away all the darkness of ignorance, just as the sun drives away the darkness of the universe. So, the Brahmana is glorifying Prahlad Maharaj. He is saying, Narayana, Yasya Narayano Devo Bhagavan Hridgatas Sada. So, Narayana, the Supreme Lord Narayana, is actually present within the core of your heart. Why? Because of your qualities, because of you being a pure devotee of the Supreme Lord. You have made your heart very, very clean in such a way that Narayana is always present in the core of your heart very happily. He always drives away all the darkness of ignorance. That means this Brahmana is saying that you are actually, because Narayana is present in your heart, you are not at all in ignorance. You are just like, it is just like the sun's presence which drives away all the darkness of the universe. So you are already an enlightened soul. The Brahmana is actually glorifying Prahlad's position. So Bhaktya Kevalaya, it means simply by executing devotional service, actually one can become full of knowledge. Vasudeve Bhagavati Prayojita Janetyashu Vairagyam Yanam Chatad Ahetukam. So just by rendering devotional service, one becomes full of knowledge and detachment. In fact, knowledge and detachment are byproducts of bhakti. If one takes to staunch bhakti, if one takes with full faith, one may not become perfect in one day, but still, if one knows that this is the process, and with that faith, if he takes to that process, then slowly all the byproducts will automatically manifest in him, including the good qualities. Krishna is the master of all knowledge, and the Lord, when he is situated in one's heart, and when one is pleased, what happens is the Lord instructs that person from within. This is what is happening to Prahlad Maharaj now. So, Lord is present in Prahlad's heart, and therefore, Lord is inspiring Prahlad to ask the right questions. And this person, this Brahmana, is very pleased with Prahlad, and the Lord, sitting in his heart, inspires him to speak in response to Prahlad's questions. So only to the devotees, the Lord gives instructions by which one can advance further and further in devotional service. What is that verse? Tesham Satata Yuktanam. Satata Yuktanam means one who is continuously engaged in devotional service. Tesham Satata Yuktanam Bhajatam Priti Purvakam Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam Yenama Upayantite. That means only to those persons who are engaged in Nirantara Bhakti. We have seen in the beginning of this discussion how bhakti should be. It should be anukulyata, nirantarata. We had seen many aspects like this, right? So therefore, only to that person, only to those persons who render unalloyed devotional service, uninterrupted devotional service, ahetuki apratihata, then that is the highest dharma actually, to render unmotivated, uninterrupted, unalloyed devotional service. Savai pumsham paro dharmo yato bhaktiradokshaje ahetuki apratihata enatmasu prasidati. When one renders this devotional service, when one adheres to the highest dharma, then Lord gives instructions from within, by which dadami buddhi yogantam, by which one can actually yenamam upayantite. So to the others, the Lord gives instruction according to the manner of their surrender. Mostly they are not surrendered to the Lord, or even if they sometimes appear to worship the Lord, it is only because of some motivation. So he reciprocates with them accordingly. And simply by surrendering at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord is the cause of all of a devotee's enlightenment and awareness. So we will see, maybe this one verse we can see today. Tathapi brumahe prashnams tavarajan shrutam sambhashaniyo hi bhavan atmanas shuddhimicchata. My dear king, although you know everything, you have posed some questions which I shall try to answer according to what I have learned by hearing from authorities. This is very, very important. I cannot remain silent in this regard. For a personality like you is just fit to be spoken to by one who desires self-purification. See, the Brahmana is taking a very humble position here. He is not proud because of his advancement. He is not proud because of his austerities or anything. He is not proud because of his vrata. In fact, he had a vrata. Generally, the avadutas, somebody like this, they take a vow of silence, not to speak to anyone. So he says, although you know everything, you have posed some questions. That means he is actually acknowledging Prahlad Maharaj that, oh Prahlad Maharaj, you already know everything, but still you have posed some questions. Now I shall try to answer. How he wants to answer? According to what I have learned from hearing, according to what I have learned by hearing from authorities. So whatever he is going to answer, the Brahmana says, are not my words. It is what I have heard from the authorities. I cannot remain silent in this regard. That means he is not adhering, because Prahlad Maharaj's questions are so very important for the benefit of everyone in general. I cannot remain silent in this regard. Although it appears that this Avaduta Brahmana, he was following this Mauna Vrata or silence, he cannot remain silent, because for a personality like you, why he says like, for a personality like you, is just fit to be spoken to by one who desires self-purification. That means Brahmana says, if I speak to you, I will be purified. So therefore, whatever vow of silence I am having, I am just breaking that vow. Because by speaking to a very elevated soul like you, I am being purified. So therefore, even if I break that vow, Lord is not going to be displeased with me. That means one must remember the purpose of all of one's austerities, all of one's activities, charity, tapasya, all this is actually to please the Supreme Lord. And the 2-point formula which always one must remember is, why we are doing all these things: varnashrama dharma, austerity, sense control, cultivation of service attitude, humility. All these things are done only for 2 things. What are those 2 things? Always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. So the purpose of all our activities and austerities and everything is to always remember the Supreme Lord and to never forget the Lord. So if this person were to continue his silence with a desire to stick to his vow, then probably that will not even serve the purpose of the austerity. Because when an exalted devotee like Prahlad Maharaj comes, the Brahmana is not hesitating to break his vow of silence, which he appears to have been following. So he says, I cannot remain silent for a personality is like you, is just fit to be spoken to for one who desires self-purification. So generally, a saintly person doesn't wish to speak to anyone, and therefore he is always very grave and silent. But what is silence? Silence actually means whenever it is required, one should speak, and one should speak the correct things. What are the correct things? One should always glorify Krishna. One should always discuss Krishna Katha. So this is the actual meaning of being silent. Silent means not speaking unnecessary things. It does not mean not speaking at all. That is not silence. Silence means not speaking unnecessary things which are not helpful for our spiritual advancement. Unless one is prepared to take instructions, saintly person should not address that person. Although sometimes because of great kindness, a saintly person speaks to ordinary men. So therefore, a saintly person should not start instructing unless one is prepared to take the instructions. Like if you see Prahlad Maharaj, he wanted to take instruction. He wanted to know from the Brahmana. So therefore, the Brahmana actually started speaking. But sometimes out of great compassion, even when not asked for, a spiritually advanced person goes and instructs. We have, the incident of Vidura instructing Dhritarashtra in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Dhritarashtra was completely entangled in enjoying the facilities in the palace even after the death of all his sons in the Kurukshetra war. So Vidura felt, in fact, Vidura was always compassionate towards Dhritarashtra, but he felt even more compassionate when Dhritarashtra, by ignoring, by neglecting to pursue the actual goal of human form of life, he was wasting his time in his old age. So therefore, even without being asked for, sometimes a saintly person out of great kindness, out of great compassion, he speaks to ordinary men. Prahlad Maharaj, however, since he was not a common ordinary man, whatever questions he posed definitely would have to be answered. Not only the king, he was a very saintly person also. He was a pure devotee of the Supreme Lord. So whatever Prahlad Maharaj had asked, they had to be answered even by a great and exalted personality. So now what the Brahman says, Yathashrutam, not whimsically, I want to answer this as I have heard from the authorities. So therefore the Pramana is always Sadhu, Guru and Shastra. This is the basis for anyone to speak. One should not speak whimsically whatever one wants to speak. Always one speech. Anudvega karam vakyam satyam priya hitam chayat. One should quote evidence from Shruti, the Vedas or Vedic literature, and then one statement should be correct. Austerity of speech is actually mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. Anudvega karam vakyam satyam priyahitam chayat swadhyadya bhyasanam chaiva vanmaya tapa uchyate. So austerity of speech is speaking from the scripture. Today we can stop here. It's past 6:30. We are 7 minutes past the stipulated time. We can take questions now. What is meant by a Parivrajaka-acharya? A Parivrajaka-acharya is one of the stages of sannyas, Mataji. There are 5 stages of sannyas actually. It is one of the 5 stages of sannyas. Kutichaka, Bahuduka. 4 or 5 stages are there. Is Rishi and sannyas one and the same? Yeah, sometimes they are used synonymously also. Generally, sannyasi, he actually travels and preaches the message of the Supreme Lord, whereas the rishis, they are more into seclusion and practicing austerities. So sannyasi is the highest stage. Nagaraj Prabhu, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, yes, Prabhu. What I understood is yes. Still we are in very basic starting age of this devotion. Not even devotion, I think. What
Yes.
we should understand is we should take Krishna as our center. Only single point, focus point.
Yes, Prabhu.
This is all we are actually what I am understanding about this. Is this
Yes,
right,
Prabhu?
Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. Very true.
Only we should
you for
think
sharing.
about Krishna. Only we are thinking about Krishna. Krishna will arrange everything.
Yes.
Even our spiritual advancements, or even material advancement, whatever advancement we are thinking or we are not even thinking about. Is this
Correct.
my idea is
Very
correct?
true. What you said is true, because only Krishna will actually uplift us. But we have to do our part. We have to do our duty, and we have to completely depend on the Supreme Lord. If just by doing our part, we cannot expect that we become advanced or anything. That is completely there. The descending mercy has to pull us up.
Yes.
Only Krishna can. And we should not go after advancement. We should go after service and doing our part properly. That's all.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu, for sharing. Any other questions? Kranti Prabhu, Shamsundar Prabhu, you want to add something?
No.
Okay, then if there are no questions, I think we can stop for the day. Thank you for your participation.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.